John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for it, and what we're going to do today for you guys actually compare two juicers on the market which are rivals, and that's the Omega VSJ843 over on this side and the JuicePresso Platinum juicer. Now, I've gotten a whole bunch of inquiries lately. John, have you tested JuicePresso Platinum juicer? Then I'd have to answer, no, I have not. But now I have, and I'm testing it, against another vertical single auger juicer on the market. So, I mean, the JuicePresso, it has a lot of pros and cons, as does every juicer that I share with you guys, and it's my job just to share with you guys how the juicers work, how they perform, what happens, and all this kind of stuff. So, without further ado, before we get into an actual juice-off comparison between these two machines, let's go over the two different machines and show you guys more about them. So the JuicePresso over here, actually this is a nice compact housing. It's actually rather light, so maybe this is light duty. And over on the VSJ side, oh man, that's a bit heavy. Now the VSJ does come in a cube model. This is the VSJ843 QW for cube white, so that's the square model. They also do come in a more streamlined model like the JuicePresso, and that is the round model. So that would be the VSJ843 RS for round silver, or RR for round red. It does not actually come in a round white version. So they actually take less of a footprint. As you guys can see, the JuicePresso is quite tall. This is probably not going to fit under your standard 16-inch height, countertops above, on top of your counters, and then the cabinets above. It's a bit tall for that. It's kind of cool that it's tall, but it's also kind of a pain because also you got to reach up higher to feed things in. Now, the next thing I want to share with you guys is actually the feed chute size. So if we take these two both apart, they both have a top housing. And the feed chute size, I mean, it almost looks to be like 3/4 of the size of the VSJ. So what does this mean? This means you will be actually cutting up your produce more to fit in the JuicePresso. And those are the tops. The next, of course, you have your auger on the VSJ843, nice heavy duty auger. This is a 2-wing tip, so there's one wing here, and this basically will allow the juicer to cut up the produce twice as quickly as the auger on the JuicePresso. Let's go ahead and pull this guy out. And this actually only has one wing here. So if you look at this really closely, looks like there's 2 wings, 1 wing, and it looks like there's not a whole lot of auger space on this machine. It looks like you put the produce in, it's crushed up, and then it's just now put into the screen. And that's actually a pro and a con. This is the auger where it actually gets crushed up into smaller bits and pieces, which may mean a higher yield. And this unit just basically has a small auger, and then the screen is built in. So that means the JuicePresso here has an auger and a screen, but actually this may look like one part, but really it's 2 parts. You have the auger and the screen here. This does come apart, and when I have juiced in this, juice and pulp residues do get in here, so you will need to take this off for cleaning, otherwise it's gonna get kind of funky in there. So you have an auger and a juice screen. In the VSJ, the juice screen is actually separate, and along with the juice screen you also have a wiping blade. So there's no automatic wiping blade in the JuicePresso. This can be a pro or a con. In machines that I've tested without the wiping blade, the yield is less. So will that happen in the JuicePresso? I don't know. We'll sure see in a minute. And then here's the juicing screen. So let's go ahead and compare the juicing screens in both machines. I mean, you guys saw the auger. The auger is significantly smaller in the JuicePresso. Just doesn't quite have as much pressing or grinding apparatus. That may mean that it just kind of gently squeezes and doesn't get the full extraction. And then likewise, once it does squeeze out whatever it's going to squeeze out, the juice screen, this is a 2-stage juice screen. On the initial crush, you have the top set of juice holes, which are a little bit larger, and then on the bottom set, you have a smaller juice holes. On the JuicePresso, there's no clear differentiation between stage 1 and stage 2. There's just all juice holes. And it looks like to me that the juice holes on the JuicePresso are actually even smaller than on the VSJ. Does this mean you will get actually less pulp in the juice? Or does this actually mean you will get less yield because there's not as much holes for the juice to flow through? In addition, all around the strainer on the VSJ, there's all holes. Now, if we turn the strainer around on the JuicePresso, there's an area here where my finger is, here, and here. So 3 sides of the JuicePresso, there's actually, there's stainless steel, but no holes. So does this mean that we're going to get lower yield in the JuicePresso? I mean, I'm beginning to think so, but we will see in just a little bit. So, and then also on both machines you have the bowls. So here's the 2 bowls. They're both the set-on design, which actually I like a lot. The JuicePresso bowl actually has some of the grinding apparatus around the edges. This is actually also, deep and narrow, so this is going to be actually very hard to get in there to clean. And also some of the edges, things will probably get stuck in there because it is knurled on the inside. Whereas it's really easy to get in to clean the VSJ843. No tight spots, really easy to get in there with my fingers. And likewise, where the juice comes out, this is pretty narrow here. It's going to be fairly hard to get in to clean it because this will gum up over time. And on the VSJ, actually, there's a nice big path. I could literally get my finger up in there so you could clean it. In addition, on the VSJ, you have a stopper here. And on the JuicePresso Platinum, there is no stopper on here, although I think it may come with one. Both these machines have a silicone gatekeeper on the bottom of the machine. And it's this job with this little silicone flap to basically keep the produce inside the machine until it's fully wrung dry, and then and only then does that little flap give way and let the pulp come out of the machine. So on the VSJ, it looks like the hole that the pulp has to come out is actually fairly small and tiny. So does this mean the VSJ is going to keep the pulp in there longer to get fully pressed out, whereas the JuicePresso actually has a larger space for the pulp to get through, plus it has some weird kind of like edges in here, which in my opinion is going to be very difficult to get cleaned out because it looks like there's a pulp kind of blockage and stoppage point. So that's actually quite interesting. Of course, the bases, as I mentioned before, quite heavy duty on the VSJ and actually fairly lighter on the JuicePresso. Let's go ahead and reassemble these guys. And once again, on this pulp flap, you're going to want to remove it to clean and always, push it in when juicing. So we're just going to go ahead and set that on top. We're going to go ahead and set this guy up, push that pulp flap in, set that guy up on top. Let's see, on the JuicePresso, we're going to have to go ahead and assemble the auger screen assembly. You're going to have to line up this padlock, lock and unlock with this little arrow here to the unlock. Turn it in place, and then you guys can set this right in the top there. It's going to seat in pretty nice. We're going to go ahead and put the top housing on, click it into place. On the VSJ, very simple, very easy. We're going to take the automatic wiping blade, shove that down in the screen. And unlike other vertical single auger juicers on the market, this does not have gearing on the bottom of the wiping blade. I do like this a lot. This makes cleanup way easier on the VSJ than the other machines on the market. Then we're going to go ahead and stick that in there. We're going to take the 2 wing tips and put that in. The wing tips is actually what drives the automatic wiping blade, which in my opinion is a good thing. It's going to make the screen a little bit easier for you guys to clean at the end because it's going to wipe it down, keep it clean, and also keep that juice flowing off and into your collection bowl. Next, we're going to go ahead and lock that guy, and we're all ready to juice. Now, aside from just the parts that I've mentioned, another few things that I want to mention is that both these machines are made in Korea. So the Korea, they make the high-end vertical single auger machines. The machines made in China I've seen are basically knockoffs, and they're very poor quality in my opinion. And the other thing about these guys are the warranty. So the warranty on the Omega VSJ843 is 15 years, and the warranty on the JuicePresso Platinum is only 7 years. So that's less than half the warranty. Now, why do they have less than half the warranty? Are they concerned that the DC motor in here will actually give out, and they don't want to warranty it for years 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 15? Whereas the AC motor in here is more durable, and they will guarantee this for a full 15 years. I mean, twice the warranty. That's huge. The other thing is that Omega is selling this machine in the USA and actually around the world, and they support their machines. They're in fact one of the oldest juicing companies in the United States of America, so they're a solid brand that you could trust. as with the JuicePresso, that's being imported by JuicePresso USA, which is actually a fairly new business. So I'm not really sure if they're going to be around in the long run to support the warranty, because if this is their only product and if it fails, then they're kaput, and if they're kaput, then you have no warranty. Whereas Omega has many different juicers and blenders, dehydrators, and other things on the market, and they're solid and they're here to stay for sure. The other thing is the price, you know. So the price. So if this was an apples to apples comparison, like if these were the same price, that'd be pretty cool. But here's the thing: the JuicePresso is $150 more than the VSJ. So man, if it's $150 more, it better like get twice as much yield, or at least 1.5 times more yield, or something like that, because it costs so much more money. But we'll see. We'll see, you know, in just a second. So yeah, that's the main things about both these machines. You know, JuicePresso costs more money, has half the warranty, and yeah, I mean maybe it has a few less parts to clean, but does that mean that it's going to get less yield? And after all, for me, yield is very important. Now, the JuicePresso company advertises this as the slowest single auger juicer on the market, which is actually true. This runs at 40 RPMs, which is what it's spec'd out at. But you know what? The VSJ runs at 43 RPM. So is 3 RPMs going to make a huge difference? In my opinion, it's not. The other thing in my opinion is that the JuicePresso, they need to get up to times with some of their marketing claims. You know, they're maybe a little bit off base on some of them. You know, they say the slow juicers could get up to 40% more juice. You know, and this is true to some extent, maybe on certain produce items, but on like centrifugal ejection versus slow juicer on carrots, man, the centrifugal ejection is going to blow away this machine. So they have made in the past blanket statements that like it gets 40% more juice, and that's just misleading to the customers. And you know, frankly, I don't blame them. They're trying to sell their machine and talk it up, but I just like to keep it real, and that's why I'm doing this juice off comparison test for you guys today. I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this juice off comparison where we juice equal amounts of produce in both these machines. Alright, so now what I've done is I've prepared 36 ounces of the hothouse Persian cucumbers, washed and topped the tops off, and we have each of them in pitchers, 36 ounces here, 36 ounces here. And what we're going to do is we're going to juice the cucumbers in both these machines, even amounts, even Steven, to see what the yields are. Now before I get into that, I want to turn on both machines for you, because you know they say that the JuicePresso Platinum is actually quieter than the VSJ, and the VSJ is actually one of the quietest juicers I've tested to date. Let's go ahead and find out. So actually that's fairly quiet, you know, it's pretty quiet, but it makes a high-pitched hum. And to me, I don't know, that's a little bit annoying. Let's go ahead and turn on the VSJ over on this side. So, you know, the VSJ may be a little bit louder, but it's like a lot deeper motor just turning. And to me, that's a lot more soothing than the high-pitched hum of the JuicePresso. So I wanted to show you guys this before actually we started to juice. So now we're ready to juice, and I have the juicer set up with the same exact catch cups for the pulp, and we have Anchor Hawking 4-cup glass measuring cups to catch the juice. Now if we caught the juice just as it comes right out of the juicer, it might not be a fair test, because one juicer or the other may put more pulp in the juice. And I know for a fact that of all the juicers I've tested to date, the VSJ actually puts the least pulp in the juice. So if a juicer ended up putting pulp in the juice, that would artificially inflate the amount of yield it made. So I want to ensure that that does not happen. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and strain out the juice. So neither the JuicePresso or the VSJ comes with a standard sieve. So we're just going to go ahead and put a sieve over each of the catch containers, so that we can sieve out all the pulp, and you guys can see what happens when the pulp is removed, so we have a fair and even fight. Alright, first let's go ahead and juice in the VSJ843. We're just going to go ahead and turn this baby on, nice and quiet, take a cucumber, drop it in there, and I like how the VSJ is literally auto-feeding with its two twin wings. It basically gets in there and chops up the celery, grinds it up, extracts all the juice, and then the pulp is extracted on this side. I'm not seeing any kind of juice coming out. The pulp side, I just see basically fairly dry pulp, and it'll be interesting when we're done to see the comparison of how dry the pulp is on the JuicePresso. So we're just going to go ahead and feed these cucumbers in one at a time, and we'll maybe just do a fast forward on this so you guys can just see the action and see me juice all these cucumbers. Alright, it looks like the VSJ has done an amazing job. We're down actually to the last cucumber that we're actually going to go ahead and throw in the machine here. And let it suck it right in and juice it right up. So as you guys can see, I didn't have to use the pusher. I just basically fed each one in. Sometimes I'd have to push the cucumber that was maybe still in the chamber down with the other cucumber. But looks like we're pretty much all juiced up. And the thing I want to mention to you guys is once you're done putting the last cucumber in any vertical slow juicer, you're going to want to let it run a little bit. As you guys can see, it's still extracting some of the juice out there. Now, one of the things I also want to mention is that on many vertical auger juicers, depending on what you're juicing, you can take this pulp and run it back through the machine to get a further extraction. This works fairly well on the VSJ. I did it the other day on peppers, and depending on what you're juicing, it'll work better or worse. Cactus fruits, don't recommend it. It's going to not be good. But you can feed the pulp back through. Now, we're not going to do that in this episode because we're just doing a single run through to find out what happens. So we're going to go ahead and turn that guy off. And I like the nice, soothing sound of the VSJ, nice and, low pitch. Let's go ahead and turn this guy on. This, with its higher pitch, seems like maybe like kids screaming or something. It's not quite as soothing to me. And as you guys can see, it's working a little bit. We're getting a lot of movement in this top housing. I put in one cucumber, no juice is coming out yet. And okay, juice is finally coming out. Well, let's go ahead and continue to drop these guys in the JuicePresso and see what happens. Alright, so we're down to the last cucumber on the JuicePresso. Looks like it's been working. We're getting a lot of housing shake, which is kind of interesting. And besides just a high-pitched squeal, we're also getting some squealing from the juicer as we're making it. I mean, for $150 more, it better yield a lot more juice for me to put up with all this noise that it's making. Alright, so we're just going to let it run a little bit longer to get out all that juice there. And it looks like pretty much everything has been extracted. So we're going to go ahead and turn this baby off. And now we're going to go ahead and compare the results. So let's see on the VSJ, I like to tip it up always, tip up every juicer to get out all the extra drops of juice. Not much in there. And then we're going to go ahead and put this built-in stopper down on the JuicePresso. We're going to go ahead and tip this guy up. Once again, not a lot of juice come out. That's pretty good. And we're going to go ahead and move this guy over so that we don't drip. And what we're going to do next is actually we're going to go ahead and take a look at the pulp. So on the VSJ, you could easily get your finger in the where the pulp comes out to squeegee it out, to get it out. And on the JuicePresso, a little bit more difficult, a lot smaller opening there. And if we take the pulp here on the JuicePresso, we can squeeze it. As you guys can see, actually we're dripping a fair bit of juice on there. Pulp's still fairly wet. And on the VSJ, once again, we're going to squeeze. And yes, we still got a fair bit of pulp that's quite wet too. So I may off camera run this back through to get a higher yield. But let's go ahead and take a look at the results here. Go ahead and move both these guys over. I'm going to go ahead and shake down the strainers to see how much pulp and juice is in there. Now let's go ahead and do a close-up on the yields. Let's go ahead and do a close-up on the yields for you guys to show you guys what juicer made what. So over on the right side we have the Omega VSJ843, and on the left side we have the JuicePresso. So over on this side, if we look at it, looks like we got about like a line under 2 cups, maybe just about 2 cups there. And then over on the JuicePresso side, let's take a look at that. Oh, look at that. It's about a line or maybe 2 under 2 cups. So you guys see that? Just under 2 cups. And over on this side is about 2 cups. So clearly, the VSJ843 for $150 less made more juice than that JuicePresso Platinum. So as you guys just saw, the VSJ actually made a tad bit more juice than the JuicePresso. Now, I would not say this was significant, but nonetheless, it still made more yield. And this is for a juice that has over twice the warranty and actually costs $150 less. So I personally don't think the advantages of the JuicePresso make it worth its weight in gold or fiat cash. Alright, so anyways, what I want to do is actually I want to go ahead and, besides just the yield, I want to take a look at the pulp that was generated, that we strained out actually. So to do that, we got 2 white bowls. We're going to go ahead and take the pulp that was generated with the JuicePresso that's here, tap that baby out, and we got some definite foam action in there. And then same thing on the VSJ, tap that baby out, and we're going to kind of see what we got in there. So on the VSJ, we definitely have some fine particulate of pulp here. And over on the JuicePresso, actually, to me, it looks like we actually have more pulp created on the JuicePresso side. So if you like more pulp in your juice, then you're going to want to use the JuicePresso. If you want less pulp, use the VSJ. Now we're going to go ahead and actually taste the pulp. Now the pulp coming out the JuicePresso, it's fairly pulpy. Actually fairly large pieces and bits. I'm kind of wondering how that happened, if the machine's designed optimally. You know, it's supposed to push the pulp out the pulp chute, not in with the juice. Now we're going to go ahead and try the VSJ pulp. Wow. Big difference, man. The VSJ pulp, it's like eating sawdust. If you ever ate sawdust, it's like really small, fine particles. So it's not like big chunks like in the JuicePresso. So what this means to me is that the VSJ actually is more efficient at grinding up the produce, getting the juice out, and even if it does put some pulp in the juice, it's really fine particulate that's really not going to have a major like, whoa, that's pulpy, right? It's because it's so fine you can barely detect it, and if this was mixed in with juice, I probably wouldn't even be able to know it's there. With the JuicePresso, not so nice large pieces. So as much as the JuicePresso is hyped up, you know, I don't think it actually meets up with that hype. As much as it is maybe 1 or 2 less parts to clean, it doesn't make as much yield, and it costs a whole bunch more money, and it has half the warranty. So don't believe the hype. That's why I make these videos for you guys, so you guys could know the truth about the juicers. And at this time, I'm going to have to declare the winner of this juice off, not only for the yield, not only for creating less pulp, you know, in the juice, not only for a finer pulp, doing a better job for being $150 less, and having over twice the warranty. The Omega VSJ843 is the winner of this juice off comparison today. If you guys enjoyed this juice off comparison, hey, please give me a thumbs up to let me know if you like this juice off comparison. Please be sure to support me and my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below to be notified of my new and upcoming episodes when I compare juicers, talk about juicing and blending and dehydrating, and do reviews of appliances that allow you to get more fresh fruits and vegetables in you. And be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 400 episodes now comparing all the different juicers, major brand juicers on the market, so that you guys could choose the best juicer for you. So once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors. Alright, so John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today was another exciting episode for you, and this one has been over 20 years in the making, actually. What I'm going to do in this episode is actually explain to you guys the best juicer for you. Now, I've made other videos before, the best juicer, this and that, like years ago. But here's the thing. As times change, as new juicers come out, the best juicer